All right, greetings everybody. It's July the 30th, the year 2017, and I wanted to give a year of Jubilee update. Normally my wife and I sit in front of the camera, but there is just a massive amount of construction projects going on around my house that's keeping my wife and I extremely busy, so I'm just going to do an audio tonight. Normally we try to do this on Friday, and then Saturday was completely swamped from the time we woke up to the time we went to bed. And here it is Sunday night, so we'll try to get out one update a week. I think I mentioned this before, but, you know, we just finished watching the movie The Keepers on Netflix. I recommend it's several series. It's not just one, one movie. It's several. It's like a mini series, but I thought it was really good and kind of exposing the evil that we're dealing with in today's society. So I recommend you watch that, as well as Deliver Us from Evil, the 2006 version. There's several movies that go by that name, but the 2006 version, that's about a pedophile priest, as well as Spotlight, and then Making of a Murderer. They're all really, really good. So in Schaefer Cox, if I can find lost my spot there. Schaefer Cox, I guess the biggest update on him is we've had some major breakthroughs with some people coming forward and testifying what exactly happened at Pike's Landing. And so Jeremy Baker said that he would give a written affidavit, and all that information was sent to Schaefer's lawyer. There's an appeal coming up, and the appeal is on August the 16th at 9 a.m. Alaska time, so I think they're 3 hours before Central, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be live streamed. I'm going to be waking up early that morning, or I guess it'll be noon. Sorry, it'll be noon my time, since it's 9 o'clock Alaska time. So I'm going to be trying to, make sure that I catch it. We need people to be writing the letters to the judge for Schaefer, and then Schaefer needs money for his defense fund. All of that information is on yearofjubilee.com/Cox. So we pray that you write a letter to Schaefer and keep him in your prayers for his appeal. And please write a letter to his judge, as well as write a letter to Schaefer himself. And if you're so inclined, you can donate to his legal defense fund. All right, Scholar Barbeau. Let me go to his page. We've got sentencing for Scholar on September the 8th. It was moved from September the 1st. We did talk to Scholar this week. I think my wife sent Scholar a letter about Mark Emery, if I'm not mistaken. He was in the Bundys, and he also had a illegal weapon according to the government, and I think he got 2.5 years. So my wife wrote Scholar a letter. He did call us, and I encourage you to read Scholar's writings, as well as write him a letter. And we need people to write his judge a letter. You've only got 1 month, right? It's September the 8th. That's only one month and eight days. So please write Scholar's judge a letter, and write Scholar a letter. On Charles Dyer, he also has an appeal coming up. His appeal, we don't know exactly when it is. We don't have a date, but we know it's coming up soon. There is a sample letter on Charles Dyer's webpage on Year of Jubilee, and so you can go to his Facebook page, download the sample letter. I have some friends that are Marines, and they've told me they've also written to Charles Dyer's judge, and his mother is his biggest advocate. Same thing with Scholar Barbeau. His mother, Stacy Barbeau, is his biggest advocate. You've got Jeffrey Winehouse. We haven't heard from him in a day or two. That's kind of unusual. Praying for him. His lawyer has just filed some paperwork. Scholar needs money. Did I mention that Scholar needs money on his commissary? Jeffrey Winehouse needs money for his legal defense fund. We pray for Jeffrey and the papers that were recently filed by his lawyer, and we pray that it gets legal traction. So, we'll probably hear from Jeffrey soon, I hope. I don't know why we haven't heard from him. We usually hear from him once a day, but we haven't lately. Russell Landers, I know my friends have been writing letters to him, and if you go to his webpage, you'll see some of his writings, some of his letters from prison. And I pray you write to Russell Landers. And if you feel so inclined, you can donate to his commissary. He spent 21 years in prison, folks. Never hurt anybody. And so we pray you don't forget Russell. Bryce Quellar, he was wanting some books, so we mailed him some books. I hope he got to him. He's also on CoreLinks. They transferred his email from Access Corrections to CoreLinks, so I sent him an email, but I haven't got confirmation that he got it. So pray, he'll probably be getting out next year. So we pray that you write him a letter in the meantime. He still has a year to go, maybe a year and a half, I don't know. And so don't forget Bryce Quellar. Ed Brown, don't forget about him. I got a few letters from him from CoreLinks this week, and he was wanting some books. Let me see if I can't bring up what books he was wanting. Whoops, I went to the wrong login. Tell you guys what's on Ed Brown's mind, but I know he wrote me some letters, and it's about something about some books that he wanted. Let me just read it to you. Thank you. It says, "Dear Rudy and Aaron, thank you, Rudy. I realize that you are doing your best, but I really don't understand why no one is not getting the real ace in the hole they have with the United States Constitutional Rangers. No one seems to understand that the United States Constitutional Rangers are a real opportunity to present to the world what everyone wants. The Rangers, but they don't know it. We only want to protect the government of the people. Hell, we are obligated to do so, but nobody else seems to want it. Every attempt for me to present my report to Congress, the President, or a bluebonnet grand jury is somehow stopped, ignored, or avoided in some way. I have become a gatherer of information for several decades and have gained vast amount of understanding of the world, but I find the knowledge is of no value unless you use it for some worthwhile purpose. I have gone as far as I can with the law and government with the little assets I have, so I will switch to doing something I can do, healing. I am not abandoning the law and my efforts to free Elaine, others, and myself, but I need to be able to have some success at what I do, and I have given my country over 30 years of my life to no avail. The world grows worse. I will save who and as many as I can through health. I would like to eventually acquire the other books from Dr. Joel Wallach. Let's Play Doctor, Let's Play Herbal Doctor, the book on the black man's illness, and the aromatherapy. I'm being blocked from teaching anything here at Gilmer. Clearly, I'm still a target from the Khazarian Zionist Department of Justice. Thank you. You've been a great help. Go with God because of Jesus. Commander Edward Lewis Brown. So he wants some books on healing. It sounds like he's been a little disturbed that he's not making any progress with getting a letter to Trump and nobody's paying attention to what he's got to say with the Zionist and the Vatican and what have you. So please write a letter to nothing is more encouraging to these people, especially Ed Brown, Elaine Brown, than to receive a letter of encouragement from a stranger, right? You know about them, you know they're innocent, you know they shouldn't be in prison. Elaine Brown also wrote me a letter, and she kind of chastised me a little bit because I sent her a letter of the wickedness of the Department of Justice and how they incarcerated an innocent man and all the wickedness. And she basically said, Rudy, thanks for writing me, but I just don't want to hear it. I already know how wicked the Department of Justice is, and you don't need to remind me. And don't send me any more letters about innocent people being incarcerated. It ruins my spirit. It ruins my spirit. So she wants me to send her uplifting and encouraging. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. If you don't laugh, you'll cry, So when you write to Elaine Brown, find something encouraging, find something uplifting, and don't send Elaine Brown any more reminders about how wicked the Department of Justice is. She don't want to hear it. So we are, I haven't told you guys, but I did get ordained as a chaplain. My wife did too, from Pastor Wally Drake. So we give God the praise on that, and we're going to reapply to visit Elaine Brown as a chaplain, and we'll see how that goes. Thank you to Pastor Wally Drake who did that. I've also heard from Jason Gerhard, and he's going to write a letter of thanks to Pastor Manning for having me on the show to talk about Ed and Elaine Brown and Jason and Daniel. So I've got a pretty good relationship with Jason Gerhard, and he's a good guy, and I look forward to meeting him one day. He needs Jesus, though. He is reading his Bible. If there's any one person you really need to write to, it's Jason Gerhard, because he needs Jesus, and he needs to convert to Christianity. Daniel Riley, I did talk to him this week. He wants me to look up a lady by the name of Miss Kelly in the Bureau of Prisons and ask her if I can get approval for Daniel to speak to me on the phone and record it so you guys can hear his voice. So I keep telling him it would be powerful if we could hear his voice, but he said I've got to get approval from a Miss Kelly. He says it's on the Bureau of Prison website, but I can't find it. I haven't heard from Blaine Cooper. I think he might have talked to my wife. I know he misses his kids. So pray for Blaine Cooper. I know he's he's going through some depression, I think, because it's just depressing to be in prison, and be separated from your children and your wife. Maureen Peltier is keeping up with Jason Patrick. And so please pray for Jason Patrick. I think he's a very strong Christian, and we need to be writing and encouraging him. I got a few letters from Lonnie and Karen Vernon this week, and I love them in the Lord. I think I could get along with Lonnie pretty good. If he was out of prison, I think me and him are of the same personality type. I really do like Lonnie. There's a special place in my heart for Lonnie, and I think it's horrific what they did to Karen Vernon. I write Pete Santilli letters probably once a week like I do everybody else, but he's never written me back, so I think my wife is keeping up with the Bundys. Heard from Sean Stuller once this week. He did call me. I think they've moved him to a new prison. I haven't figured out his new address yet. I probably need to look that up. To be honest with you, I got all these construction projects going on around my house, and they're just consuming me from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. And I look at my email, and I got hundreds of emails from all these different people, and it's a bit overwhelming. And I just I turn it over to the Lord. It can be emotionally overwhelming as well as physically overwhelming. All the action items, look up the Bureau of Prison legal person to get approval for Daniel, and let's forward the letter that Ed Brown wrote to the president, and let's scan the letter that Russell Landers sent to a friend. Let's make sure that we write a letter to the judge for Charles, and write a letter to the judge for Skylar Barbeau, and write a letter to the judge for Schaefer Cox. And Schaefer Cox, we got to make sure that we capture on recording what Jeremy Baker said. And, the barn needs to be torn down. And I'm in the process of ripping up some, earth. There are all kinds of construction projects going on around here with old barns and new barns. And there's some... I forget it. It's not a garden, but it's more like just an area that needs to be revamped on the property, and it's just. I could go on and on and on. But anyway, let's not forget Yori Call. I'm trying to catch up and read Yori Call's book, and then I wrote a letter to Scott Fall, and he didn't return my letter. And somebody told me Scott Fall has turned bitter, and that breaks my heart because Scott Fall should have never gone to prison in the first place. So I'm sure there's some people I missed. Yori Call, Scott Fall, Sean Stuller. Anyway, we're going to do the best that we can, and pray that God works a mighty miracle and holds the wicked doers accountable. That's all I got to say for tonight. God bless every one of you. If you get time to write these prisoners a letter and you have more time than I do, I pray you step in and help out. I know that many of you are already. There's many people that you'll never hear of their names, right? You'll never hear, but I see them, and I know the Lord sees them. That's even more important. And they're writing letters, and they're sending money to these people's commissary. They're sending them books. They're encouraging them. I know people that have written Russell. I know people that have written Daniel Riley. I know people that have written Jason Gerhard, Sean Stuller. I think Ed and Elaine Brown need encouragement. I've heard there's some people writing, Bryce Quellar. I know that people are writing Schaefer Cox, so, but people need to be writing Skylar Barbeau too, right? So even though I sound a little down and I sound a little depressed, I mean, there are people that I know that are writing these prisoners' letters, and so the fact that they even get 1 or 2 a week, you know, it's got to be encouraging to these folks. And so I don't mean to sound down. It's just it's a little hectic around here lately, and I know that, you know, there's a roller coaster. You know, you have your ups and your downs, and we'll get back on track. And God has a plan for all of us, and I just want to make sure these prisoners know that we have not forgotten about them. Okay, keep them in your prayers, and if you want to know their mailing addresses, go to yearofjubilee.com. We do our best to keep the addresses updated, and it doesn't take long to, you know, write something on a letter or a postcard and put their prison address, and it can make their whole day. God bless. Have a great day, and have a great week. Bye-bye.